Okay, so here we are, and we are, again, I'm drawing this building here, and I'm pretending that it's off in the distance. So we use the same kind of measurements style, with your pencil or your triangle. I use a 45-degree triangle, and then here's my drawing pad. So I'm gonna go like, okay, that the left wall, vertical wall, is, when I put it in the distance, okay, it looks like about 2 inches up when I'm at the triangle. So I do the triangle, and I just start, and I say, okay, but you can go like this, you can mark it, but always extend the line, and you can make the line a little, so I'm going to say that this is the first, and I'm just going to lightly do this. Maybe this is the bottom, but you can't see the bottom. But again, so right here and right here, and maybe this extends below here. Okay, and you're going to start by kind of measuring how wide it is by essentially how many of these, because you first started the first measurement, and you're going to see how many of these pencil marks is this in compared, you use the same method of measurement. It's actually easier if I go like, if I say that right at the A. So let's see, right at the A is where, that's how tall it is. So let me do this again. So I'm going to see where this is? This, right where that A is how tall the building is from where I'm standing. Okay? Not a precise science, because I'm obviously, it's not like I am at my front yard. So I'm saying that this A, from here to here, that's how tall this building is in general. There's a few little extra stuff on top, but primarily that's how tall it is. And then how wide it is in comparison is that it's going to be 1, 2 and a half of these ish, So I'm going to mark it like this to the A. 1, 2 and a half. All right, again, you would essentially measure it like this, and it's a pretty simple house, and it is basically, it's a rectangle, and I maybe would start on the right side, and then the left side vertical lines are both the same height, and I can measure with my pencil, and then I can already tell how, just the slope of the roof, I can see that there's this slope. So maybe that would be like the second or third thing you do. If I want to pick the eye line, I would say it's pretty much right here. So I would draw that. So that's just a simple building of the house of my neighbors, and that's how you would kind of go out when you are drawing a building on campus. You use your pencil or your triangle. You figure out, and this is the 1-point perspective, you figure out the angle, perspective, you figure out the eye level. But first of all, you basically just, I would draw this triangle essentially, and then the little angle on top. And that would start this whole, drawing. And notice that here's another perspective line, the edge of the lawn. And so we would take note of the different diminishing lines and things like that. So there you go, 1-point perspective out in the field. It's a little different from what I'm about to show you. What I'm about to show you with a drawing and pretending that I'm seeing this. It's just a little easier to pretend I'm standing here and I'm looking, and I'm across the bridge and looking at this awesome building in Seattle. So I'm gonna roughly do the top of the building, and hopefully the proportions are right. We'll see. It's not a perfect science right now, but if we're gonna look, that might be. Yeah, it feels like that could work. Okay. So the next thing you do is you basically see the sight lines, and the sight lines are probably the same sight lines as the people that are in, and I'm just gonna say it's maybe 1/4 of an inch. I'll do the sight lines right here. So I'm gonna do the sight lines right here and just start here. It's almost like I'm kind of guessing a little bit, but here are the sight lines. So we started the first thing you do is you create the big square, the big shape. Second thing you do is you get the sight lines, and then you can eventually you will want to work a little bit more with the perspective, this wide and this tall. So I got the big shape, and I can still keep the eye line as if I'm looking across, and I'll keep the eye line the same. Now you kind of do a few more lines, and you can even add the perspective next. But I feel like this is a nice, close enough shape to the building. I just filled in some stuff, and I got the angle of the railing, and I tried to emulate it here, that kind of thing. And I also did some measuring. In measuring, I just used the triangle, basically, and I said something like, I did one pitch of the roof that was a little off. Like, I think this looked good, but this was off. But then I was like, okay, how do I fix that? You just say, okay, an inch in, is when it reaches its top, for instance. And then I did the same over here. So I got this pitch up. Quickly sketched in the windows, and I could probably erase them and do a better job at making them square and look nicer. And I was like, okay, right below the windows, the pitch of this little entryway is. So, and then I kind of compared these windows to where this was, and so I mimicked it. And then, I wasn't perfect on where the bottom ended. It's a little what's the word? This little railings in the way, but I felt like this is a good, a good bottom of the building. And then I began to draw in the railings, and again, like I said, the perspective, I played with that, and obviously perspective splays out, and I joined them together, and it gets, so I played with a perspective, and I made this wall. It's a little wonky, but this helps with the perspective as well, because here's where this wall and the railing starts, this little bridge. And it's not perfect, you know? It is absolutely not perfect. I'm not looking for perfect, but just looking for you to get this, you know, sketch some buildings in the one-point perspective. And interestingly enough, I found this photo of the old CLA building that has been recently demolished. And again, what you would do is pretend that you're looking at this building and you have a few, you know, you have a sight line that is you know, right about here. You have these perspectives going off. But I would call this a one-point perspective as well, because you're looking at these buildings straight on. So you would start perhaps by the square and this weird angular building, and then this. You would draw this as well. Draw the arts building. And this is pretty straight on and square. And maybe exaggerate the perspective instead of like, you know, maybe a line of trees this way or whatever. But yeah, it's a pretty cool building that I found on the internet. You can play with it for sure. But I, of course, rather have you actually sit here and, you know, look at this. If you sit here on a stool, you'll be able to draw this building and the arts building, and I think that's a great, you know, example of or a great exercise. It's too bad that building's not there anymore. It's a really beautiful one. All right.